Good afternoon, friends. Shu here. So I'm quickly hopping on here unannounced. So you'll catch this as a replay later for most of you who follow me. But it will be here saved in the web. You will find it somehow. Both right now I'm live streaming from the Grace and Hope Consulting Facebook page, but we'll definitely upload this later, probably on the YouTube channel and upload on the website later. So you have multiple ways of catching this later. So for wherever you're watching this, for no whoever you're connecting with me on this special day, this podcast, I want to say welcome to me, welcome to this short, quick edition of I guess wellness tips. Usually, I try to do wellness tips on Wednesdays. Not every Wednesday, but usually that's when we schedule them, just because of the theme of Wellness Wednesdays. But I think today on Tuesday we usually do Truthful Tuesday. And if you're following on this page, I did post a question. For Truthful Tuesday, and also in my women group, the group on Facebook is Women Achieving Mental and Emotional Wellness. The question was, what emotions are harder for you to express? So, as part of that, I just wanted to hop on here quickly and give you people a few tips of how to just not. I'm going to actually do a webinar later in a few days. We'll schedule that hopefully by the end of this week. Um, a webinar on healthy ways to express your emotions. But this is not that webinar. This here is just quick tips on how, to kind of just get in touch with yourself, get in touch with your feelings. I know I've been feeling out of whack. It's been rough the past few weeks. It's just so many things that happen to me personally, to my kids, and to our family. And it's like I'm getting one hit after another. And isn't that like life? Things happen that you have most of the time you have no control over, and you're just kind of like, oh my goodness, now I have to deal with this, right? It's like you fall into this mess of things. Now you have to know things to take care of. Sometimes, most of the time that you didn't see coming, and then that you didn't plan for, and that it's taking a lot out of you. And it's not just money, time, but even emotional expense. Sometimes people don't calculate that expense, right? We budget for everything else, but we don't budget for the emotional expense of life, things that we do in life. So for me right now, like I said, our family's going through a lot of changes, a lot of things happening, and that in itself is taking a lot out of me emotionally. And I find myself like some morning again, I was like, I just feel out of whack, and I'm like, I said that, and because that's what I do, I have tips and strategies to take care of myself, and those are tips that I'm going to share here. But it made me think about how many people, wake up like that in the morning and feel out of whack and don't know what to do with it, or they leave work, with all the stress that piles up on them, and then they go home, they don't know what to do with the whackness, if you want, all the things that are brought on that they're dealing with that piled up on there. So I just wanted to, hop on here and give you 5 tips. When you're feeling out of whack, like I've been feeling lately, how you can take care of yourself. And you start with getting in touch with your feelings, getting in touch with yourself, kind of figure out where it's all coming from and what you can do about it. So here are those 5 tips. And if for those of you catching this here, if even on different platforms when it will be shared out, if you know anyone who can benefit from this, please share it out. And you never know what people are going through. Recently, just a side note, I had shared about a conference, women conference locally here in Central PA. And I didn't at the end, I wasn't even able to go because of things going with my family, and I needed to be with my kids. And a friend of mine went, and she told me just a couple of days ago that she didn't find out about the conference. She only found out about the conference because I posted about it. And she went and invited her sister. Both of them went and had a great time. That was something they both needed it. So she said, "Thank you for sharing it. Please keep sharing things, as they come across your desk, and they come as you see them." And so that inspired that encouraged me to keep sharing, and I share that story with you today so that you will be sharing, like, not just because it's my stuff, you're watching show here, online, but anything that you watch that can help. If it's helping you, it can help someone else. And sometimes might look at stuff like, oh, this, I don't need this right now, but it might help someone, and you never know. On my personal Facebook page, I have I don't know, 4,200 people, friends. So I have over 4,000 friends there. I don't know every person's detail, life in detail. No. And some of them were just casual acquaintances, and most of them people that don't even live here, that worldwide, that I haven't even physically met. So I don't know what everyone is going through. So if you find a resource, if you find something that can help someone, please share it out. You never know how you can impact someone's life just by clicking the share button. So with that being said, back to what I was saying. So if you're feeling out of whack and you're not sure what's going on, and you're just like, I can't shake this off, and sometimes people even use the expression kind of feeling like in a funk, like it just like, I just can't get it, shake this off, I can't get it over that, I just don't feel like myself. However you call it, however you choose to label that, those feelings or those things that happen in you, I think these 5 strategies will help you kind of overcome them and process them and feel better and move on with life. So the first one is acknowledge it. And I'm going to try, if I can be coordinated here. I'm not always the best, but I will try to. The benefit of losing weight is that you lose weight, you feel great. The worst part about losing weight is like everything starts sagging, like for sure, like it's getting too big, and I have to keep pulling it because I'm not here to show people my cleavage. Anyway, oh, so number one, I'll put it here, is acknowledge. If I can type and speak at the same time. So number one is acknowledge it. You need to acknowledge that something's going on, that things are not the same, that something is just out of the ordinary, and you maybe feel out of your routine, you feel out of balance, whatever the term it is, you have to acknowledge it, because if you don't acknowledge it, how are you going to take care of something that you don't know what it is, right? And so many times we numb our feelings to the point where we don't feel anymore, and we just go for life like, I have just to take care of it. I'll deal with life. Things needs to be taken care of. So you keep going with life, and then we battle up, and we have all these feelings inside, and then we might just, because it's like a train wreck, waiting to happen, right? So acknowledging it is the first step, because it helps you kind of take that pause, just like pause. Okay, what's going on? So I had to do that. I got like, what's going on with me right now? And when you acknowledge it, the second one, oh, and it was my phone was on. The second one is name it. So once you acknowledge it, then you want to name it. So you acknowledge when something is going on, that something is not, doesn't feel right, doesn't feel like you don't feel like yourself. And then name it. What is it actually, what's actually happening right now? For me, I had to know, when I start taking that moment to acknowledge that I wouldn't feel myself and start naming it, I'm like, what am I feeling? I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And I start feeling stressed because of all the things piling up on me. So I had to name it, and I was feeling sad about some things that are happening, how people, treating my children or treating me, and all those things, I had to take the moment to name it. Because again, when you name it, it kind of takes the power away from it. We don't realize that naming our emotion is just as powerful, if not the most powerful thing in overcoming our emotions. Because now it's not just this abstract thing out there in the middle of nowhere. Now it actually has a name, and you can say, okay, I'm feeling sad. And then it become easier to deal with it, become easier to overcome it, to cope with it, or do whatever you need to do next once you know what it is. Okay, so one was acknowledge that something is wrong, something's out of the ordinary. Two, name it. What are you feeling? What's going on inside of you? And then 3 is trace it. So for me, I had to trace it. Where did this start? Where did this started? So when I took the time to do that, I realized that my, funk, if you want, or this kind of feeling out of whack, out of balance, started a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, okay, what happened around that time, during that time, those couple weeks, if you want? And then I realized that time, we got letters about things, some accusations that were not true. And then we felt like our family were being singled out, and they were not being treated fairly. And all those things added, made me feel sad, but also then the stress of dealing with that. And then also, during that time where we had a lot of, during the same time, we had a lot of health issues for my son, and a lot of doctor's appointments, and trying to do more testing and figure out what's going on with him. I'm like, added to the stress and then the worry and the concern for my child. So when you trace it, you can identify, you can really pinpoint where it started. And that's really good. Then you know where it's coming from. You want to know the source of it, right? So that was tracing it. So and then after I traced it, after even you trace it, you want to, oh, that have been 4. I'm not sure if I can edit here. Oh yeah, look at that. All the stuff I'm finding out now. So I can edit during a live broadcasting. So there. So after you trace it, you want to release it because it keep holding on to the, now that you know what it is. For me, it was sadness. For I had sadness over the things I just mentioned, and then I had stress over all the health issues and all the pressures that are things I have to take care of. And then the worry about what's going to happen next for my child, what we will happen for our family, what's going to happen, all the plans that we have to not to do, we have to make. So now once I knew, I traced it, and I named it. Now I'm like, okay, how can I release this? Because holding on to sadness and holding on to worry, holding on to stress does not do anyone any good. It doesn't. But those are normal part of being human. Like it's a part of the human experience. So you feel it because you're human. So then you have to find it, and then it tells you, they're like warning signs, like, oh, watch out, something is it's not happening. When you're something out of whack, it's a warning sign that something's happening, that you need to take care of it. It's your body's way of getting your attention. So when then you find, okay, how can I release sadness? For me, to release sadness, doing things that are enjoyable. So I spend extra time with my kids this week, and then plan more activity this coming week, and planning more things that we can do as a family, just to kind of remember that we're in this together. That no matter who's not feeling well, or or even or people who are not treating us right, that we value each other and that we're going to support one another no matter what. So for me, that's a way of releasing that. I kind of do the opposite of what I'm feeling, so that I fill myself with that positive energy, that positive emotion that I'm looking for. So then to release to release the worry, for me, like, worrying about it was not going to change what's going on. It's just going to make me feel worse about it. It's just going to make me feel more stressed out and more worried. So I started doing, a lot of the things that I do to overcome anxiety and worry. I give it to God, So I prayed about it. I talked about I talked about it with people who can help. So I've looked for a safe place and safe people where I can release those emotions, release those feelings, release what I'm feeling. So you need to have that safe circle for yourself. And if you don't have one, it's okay to be it's okay to reach out to other people and start creating that circle for yourself. Whether it's finding a counselor, in your area, or a mentor, or a coach, someone that you trust and start building that relationship, that where you feel safe enough, you can share what you're going through. So that's of some of the things that you have to find that helpful to release it. I often say our emotions are just like a sponge, like or our bodies and our brains are just like sponges, and when you don't deal, like when life happens to us, it's like you're pouring water under that sponge, like it's putting the sponge under the faucet, for example, and water just pouring into it, right? And then that's what happens when just life happens, like things happen, it's work, it's issues at home, it's issues at school, or whatever it is that you're dealing with. You're just kind of adding more water to that sponge. And if you don't find a safe place to to squeeze that sponge and get the water out, that sponge is going to be leaking everywhere else you go. So if you're just holding that sponge in your hand, it's going to leak in front of you, it's going to leak on your table, it's going to leak everywhere. So emotions are the same way. So don't let your emotion leak everywhere. You want to grab those emotions, right? And find healthy way to release it. So you're not leaking at work. So you're not leaking, in your relationships. You're not leaking in your children. Sometimes people, when they don't have healthy way to release their emotions, they start taking it on everybody else. And sadly, we often take it to people who are closest to us. How many of us live with someone who, got upset at work, got frustrated at work, and they came home and then they just dump on everybody else at home. It's like, oh, they were grouchy today. And you didn't even do anything at all. But that's what people often do. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for you, the people you care about. It's not about the people who care for you or about you. Okay, so release it. You need to find those healthy ways to release it. And then number 5, if I can spell. Okay, number 5 is repurpose it. So you need to find that. This is something that really that helps me a lot. Um, through everything that I go through in life, honestly. And I had my share of troubles on this earth in this short 35 years of life. It feels like, I don't know, forever. But I have to repurpose everything I go through. Otherwise, it becomes a stumbling blocks for me. So if I think about the injustice that we're going through, or the unfairness, things that we're dealing with, or even the sickness and the stress that with all the changes happening, if I don't find a way to release what I'm feeling and then repurpose these situations, it's gonna keep me blocked there. Honestly, I'm gonna be stuck in those emotions, and I'm gonna get stuck in feeling that nobody treats us right, or this world is a bad place, nobody cares, and that doesn't do anyone good. It doesn't do anybody good, right? Then we get stuck. That's how we get stuck in our pain, because often we have not found a healthy place to release the pain, and we haven't found a healthy ways to repurpose the pain. So repurposing, your feelings and repurposing your emotions, it's almost like in recycling. So think about even something like at home, for example. Those we use. I don't even have it back here. I'm actually at the office, so I'm not home. But I was gonna grab like an empty plastic bag from the grocery store. Like when you go to a grocery store and get groceries, they put stuff in the we call the grocery bag, right? It's usually like a plastic. I can't reach that. I actually have one on the shelf there. I can't reach it. But anyway, we put stuff in there. And for my family, when we get home, we don't throw those bags out unless like there's stuff leaking in it, or has a hole or something. Usually we save those bags and we repurpose them. We recycle those bags. How we recycle them? Sometimes when we have too many, we take it back to the store. They usually have a recycle bin outside the grocery store. You just put your bags there. They go and recycle it, and they reuse it for other stuff. But even at home, the way we do it, we use the same bags to collect trash. We put it in we have smaller trash cans in the bathrooms, for example. So we use those trash bags over a trash can in the bathrooms, the small trash cans. Um, we use it to I put it in every one of my boys' bags, because if they have something happen at school, they have dirty clothes or something, they can use those bags for dirty clothes. We use it in our swim bag when we go swimming. So we can put wet clothes in them. You see what I mean? It's the same bag that had one purpose, and then when we were done with it at the grocery store, we could have thrown away. But instead of throwing it away, we did what? We purposed that bag. So we kept using it. So when painful things happen, when your emotions, get out of whack, if you want, and you feel like, oh, I can't deal with this, do the 5 things that I just mentioned. The 4 things first: acknowledge it, name it, trace it, release it, but by all means, find ways to repurpose it. So for me right now, it's realizing that what happens to me is not just about me. There's other people having the same issues and not having the support that they need, right? So then I start seeing, how can I make a difference in this area? Who else can I talk to? Who else can I support in this area? So I'm going to ask you. I encourage you to ask yourself the same questions. So what the issues that I'm having, some of the issues I'm having, like with health issues, this experience helped me support other people that I support, to kind of navigate the systems. With the issues that we're having with, school and paperwork and all of that, this gave me another chance to express to the school staff and people in leadership how they can better support families. And so look at whatever it is that you're going through, that that brought you down, if you want, that make you feel out of balance, out of work. How can you repurpose all of this? Because everything we go through is not just for us. I've learned that in my life, and I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't repurpose everything I've been through. um, I repurposed my whole mental health experience by being a counselor, being a Christian counselor, all the things, even being a trauma therapist. It's because I've been through trauma myself. So I'm repurposing my pain and repurposing my experience to help others. And that helps me stay well. So I hope this really helps you. Next time you're feeling out of whack, feeling out of balance, feeling like something you just off or odd and you're not sure what it is, do these 5 things. I posted them in the comments here on this live. Um, and we'll make sure that once we upload it, we also include that in the description. So you want to acknowledge what's going on, name it, name those feelings, name those emotions, trace it. When did it start? What was happening around that time when those things started for you? And then releasing, finding healthy ways to release your emotions. And number 5 is repurposing it. And like I said, we're going to schedule a webinar on healthy ways to express your emotions, which will be so that we're probably going to schedule sometime by the end of the week. So stay tuned and keep following us here so that you stay in touch with us and stay in the loop, knowing what we're doing here. All right. Bye guys for now.